We on. I want to welcome you all to another episode of the For Me to You Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jay Davis, along with Greg. Hey, Greg, you ready? Me versus you. Let's leave it all out on the line. Hello, everybody. We are joined here today with a special guest, Marcus. He knows a lot about sports.
Hey, how y'all doing?
He is a actually friend to the podcast, and he's well acquainted with sports. He knows baseball, he talks about boxing, anything. But today, he actually wanted to talk about the whole Joe Mixon situation, which he actually brought to my attention because I've actually been very busy. So supposedly Joe Mixon is barred from the NFL Combine. How do you feel about that, Marcus? How do you feel about Joe Mixon being barred from the NFL Combine because of his, I guess, domestic violence dispute?
Yeah, so the result of why he's barred is the NFL passed a rule. And that rule basically says if you had a domestic violence or drugs or something with a weapon, any of those transgressions while you were in college, then you weren't allowed to come to the combine. And if teams wanted to draft you or see you, they would have to come to your pro day and things of that nature. So, there's been a lot of chatter about it, and the Detroit Lions GM said something that sparked a lot of controversy on sports networks because he said it's an inconvenience to see it. You have to go travel to see a great player. He should be here, and a lot of people were kind of coming in saying, "Hey, he hit a woman and all these other things." So my thing on it is that the NFL is really doing this as a PR stunt. This policy does not stop domestic violence. So I get they're doing it from a PR perspective. And I believe in people having second chances and, hey, what he did, how it happened and all that, that's what we have a legal system for. But I think that, barring the guy from the draft, now he's back at Oklahoma, he's still going to get drafted.
Agreed.
So they're not really preventing him from getting into the league. So it's totally an arbitrary policy, and it's not really changing anything. So at this point, they're doing it just to cover their butt and to look good in the media. Now, Joe Mixon on his whole deal, the kid's done a lot of things to make up for that or make amends. But, being punished one more time, I don't know. To me, it just seems like it's arbitrary.
How do you feel about that, Greg? Do you actually agree with Marcus' stance on this about the NFL trying to cover themselves, or do you feel like this was actually a great, I would say tactic, and do you think this will actually prevent further implication, and this will actually prevent college athletes from actually going down that path of domestic violence? What is it? Sexual assault? It's a couple other things. I think it was weapon charges too. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I think Marcus hit it on the nose. It's basically like it's a brand, it's a business. You got people like Gatorade and the Nike sponsors that's putting money in the game. But having these charges, these fouls go on in college, I just think it's the NFL is putting their foot down to let people know that we don't tolerate this. I know it's bad for his name Marcus.
Yes.
What's his name? Mixon?
Yeah, Joe Mixon. Yeah,
Joe Mixon.
Mixon. I know it's bad for him because that's his draft stock. And then a lot of guys these days look at their draft stock as money, like basically losing out on money because he could be a diamond in his draft.
Oh, he's really good. He's really good too.
Exactly. Him not showing his talent is like basically dropping him, to a second, third round. That's hurting him. But it is tough because we see it on ESPN with Johnny. Guys catching these cases, getting drunk, and in a way you really like saying like, yeah, I see why, but then you like, well, it's gonna hurt this guy draft stock. So I see it both ways, but it is tough, and I hope these guys can just discipline themselves when they in school. Being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But I definitely agree with Marcus. He hit it right on the nose. 100. I agree 100%.
Okay, so my question is this: will he not be able to even do the 40-yard dash? Nothing, Marcus. So Joe Mixon can't do anything at the combine at all. Won't even be allowed to be in the building. Basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he can't even attend.
Wow.
So essentially, anything he does has to be at a pro day, and teams, at the University of Oklahoma, and teams have to travel to come and see him, which they'll do.
Definitely.
But teams actually only get 30 visits. So if you think about the number of colleges, number of college football players, you have to pick 30 visits. Now, teams are definitely going to go to Oklahoma because that's a place where you're going to go.
Yes.
But what if you're at, let's just throw it out. What if you're at a FAMU or a Bethune-Cookman or something like that, and you just happen to be one of those players that like, man, I should have been a D1 player. This happened, but I'm really good. And now you're missing out on that opportunity. Yes, you did something. Yeah, we're not diminishing that at all. But ultimately, at some point, if you do the right things, shouldn't you get another opportunity to show yourself? And teams aren't going to come to Tallahassee. They may come to see Florida State, but they come to see FAMU. Agree
with that. So my question, right quick. But don't you think the whole Josh Brown situation with his the kicker for the Giants, for the fans who don't know what that is, and the Ray Rice situation, didn't that put a black eye on the NFL and actually make them be like, you know what, we have to do something about this? The whole Greg Hardy situation. So I think this Joe Mixon situation is just a result of basically what has happened before him. So can you really blame the NFL for actually going this route? And I'm pretty sure this has been happening in the NFL forever. Remember we had the guy from Kansas City Chiefs who actually killed his girlfriend and stuff like that. But I think these owners and I really think it probably starts at the college level. I think college head coaches and athletic departments should actually do a better job at like screening these college players. But then again, I mean, let's just be honest. The Joe Mixons, I would say the Reggie Bushes, the Ray Lewis, a lot of these guys who are going to these programs are coming from impoverished situations. I mean, we just got to call it like it is. So maybe they've had a couple mishaps in their life. So if you was to really bar those guys from actually getting in to those big schools, they wouldn't even do it. Like, if you were to tell Nick Saban right now, like, no, you can't get that guy because he had a domestic dispute in high school or he had a weapon charge. A lot of that is basically just off the environment that they're around, but that doesn't give them a reason to do it. So I'm not making no excuses for it. That's my piece right there. Go ahead, Greg.
But piggyback on what you just said, it's colleges like Notre Dame. They don't let Kelly really get guys with low grade point average.
They don't play that. And
that's those guys that you were just saying that's really good, that's coming from an inner city public school that can help their program. A lot of schools shy away from them type guys. And this is a reason why. But they know they need us. Well, they need them to make their program a powerhouse. Imagine how many guys that's on Alabama, Old State, a few guys that I know came from my city, that play for Ohio State, that I know where they grew up at. I know them for real, and they can be guys that be put. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna say his name, but they was in a situation similar to that. But lucky they got drafted, but his stock did drop, and I think you might know him. Yeah. But his stock did drop. But I really understand why they doing it, but I'm not saying that it's fair. But I just understand.
Yeah. So, and I agree with all that. And I think it's one of these issues where, I mean, if you look at it from an overall perspective, right? Like you mentioned Josh Brown, you mentioned Ray Rice, you mentioned all these other people. The point that I'm making about it, I'm not saying it's right. Look, you hit your girlfriend, you rob a bank, you do these different things. Yeah, you got to pay a price for that. That's why we have a legal system. That's why you can go to jail. That's why you got to go to court. That's why you got to deal with your charges. I just feel like we're going to get into a dangerous place as a society as a whole, not just with football. But think about it. We all work every day, right? So imagine you go out on the weekend, some dude step to you, right? And you hit him, right? You get in a fight and it gets broken up or whatever. You get taken downtown. They let you go. You got to come do an appearance. And then you show up at work on Monday and they say, hey, we saw you got in a fight. We're going to suspend you. So now your boss is becoming an extension of the legal system. Now, yeah, they're going to say you represent the organization and all these other things, but your boss is not qualified. He was not there. He's not a lawyer. He's not a judge. And now you haven't even been convicted. It's innocent until proven guilty, right? So I just think we're giving a lot of power to people who are unqualified. Now, look, I know a lot of people in America hate their boss. Now, do you want your boss to now have your well-being in their hands and play the legal card? I don't know. I just feel like it's a slippery slope.
I wouldn't. And actually, to piggyback on what you said, Marcus, this is my thing. Is Joe Mixon really is he really receiving all this backlash because it was a woman? Because what if it was a guy? And we seen the video. Didn't she put her hands on him first? And I'm not advocating domestic violence at all. I trust me. I'm not listening. So for everybody out there listening, I'm not saying it. But so I just got to put it out there.
So you know the answer, Tay.
I just gotta put that out there. Wait, hey, I just want to put it out there for our listeners because if it was a guy that had knocked him out, right? Let's not say knocked him out. A guy punched him and Mixon didn't do anything at all. Wouldn't everybody jump in there and be like, "Well, why didn't you defend yourself? You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that." We teach our guys to defend ourselves, but since he defended himself, which it looks like he did from the video. He gets a lot of backlash, but it's like I don't really advocate hitting women at all. But it's just that's a very slippery slope right there because it was a woman and he knocked her down. But if it was a guy and he knocked him down, I don't think this still be going. I don't think this would have went on this long. Basically, is what I'm saying.
It's basically the fact that Ray Rice's situation was so graphic.
Oh yeah,
it's it's basically a replay. These guys lift iron 3 and 4 times a day. Come on. A woman's jaw is not even the same structure as a man. Mm-hmm. You clean cock and hit a woman in their footage. Because an owner, like Marcus said, your boss, he got a daughter. Mm-hmm. See, now, imagine somebody hit my daughter like that.
But wait, hold on, G. You know what a lot of people going to say? Your daughter shouldn't have got in his face. Your daughter shouldn't have put your hands on him.
But they're going to say, you, football player, knowing your strength, walk away. But that's what they're going to use. Not saying that it's right, but what society is going to use against you is, man, look how big you is, man. That wasn't nothing. Why you just walk away? You know what damage? Because most likely her jaw's broken. She got screwed. She probably wired up, got to sip through a straw, I'm thinking for 6 weeks, if I ain't mistaken.
Yep.
She got to go through all that. So they said, like when Ray Rice hit his wife. Come on, man.
That was terrible.
I thought she was dead.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
Yeah, that was terrible.
He spit on her and everything.
That's what they're looking at. Because them cameras catch that footage, and we all know. Yeah. Once it hit Facebook and Twitter, it's over. Your life could be destroyed within 30 seconds.
Exactly.
Because it's going. It's making memes. I mean, even you got to think about the person, the victim. The victim. That's mentally, like, damaged. Some people commit suicide. We see kids that's getting put on the internet, Facebook, that lose it, that, kill, just take their life. Yep. And now you seeing a woman get hit like that. Ooh, I mean, women shouldn't hit men.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, I think nobody should hit nobody. But I understand people get mad and get heated. But putting hands on a man and a man putting hands on a woman,
two totally different things.
Then they catch the footage. I said that ain't a good look.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And it's a slippery slope, just like you said, Jay. I mean, I struggled with this a little bit because I understand, like from watching the video, to me, Joe Mixon was reacting to the punches or whatever she was throwing, right? Like he didn't constantly say, you know what, I'm gonna hit her, I'm gonna knock her out. Like it was a reaction. Like because you see in that first time she swung at him, he kind of jumped at her and he said he had caught himself. Then she hit him again, and then he just like like let it go. He just like snapped, right? And my thing is that, like I said, it was horrific. You know, he should have restrained himself or walk away. But the one thing I always point to is men were not taught to walk away. You know, we're taught to stand our ground and be strong. And it's kind of one of these things where he got caught up in his mind. And, you know, that just, he shouldn't, it's a hard situation to put a young man in. And, you know, especially the way he grew up, because I've seen, you know, we all been there, right? You've been hanging out with your boys. As bad as one hit my hand, or somebody hit you, or a girl come over and do something crazy to you, like, oh man, you gonna let that girl do it to you? Like when we were little kids, that's, you know, that's how we did. So it's just conditioned that you can't look bad in front of people.
I agree with that.
And you know, and then the thing is, you know, like I got a little girl on the way.
Yes.
You know, and all I was thinking from that situation is everybody's talking about Joe Mixon. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying, look, she was the victim. And what you said, G, was correct. She's the victim. It was horrific. Her jaw was broken. I broke my jaw in 10th grade. I know what she went through. My main thing is her parents should have taught her, you don't put your hand on a man.
Exactly.
You don't put your hand on anybody. Because if you do, there may be consequences that you are not prepared to deal with. Not saying it was right that he hit her. It's just a consequence of the situation. So I have thought about it. I said, you know, I'm going to teach my daughter. Don't put your hand on anybody. Because you don't know. Like, what if people get shot for much less than what she did?
Hey,
you know?
Like you said, Marcus, it all starts from home. So everybody out there listening, it's something to start from home. And I agree 100% with what you said about this. You know, as we grow up in these environments, you know, if somebody hits you, you better hit them back. It's never really, you know what, just turn an eye. Don't even worry about it. You know, let it go on, because, like you said, you don't want to be embarrassed in front of people. Now, if that situation would have happened and those two were, let's say, in an apartment by themselves, maybe he actually walks away. He leaves, but
exactly.
You did that in a bar or wherever they were. I don't want to get it mixed up, in a bar, restaurant, wherever it was. But you did that in front of people, and he was like, "I got to defend myself."
Yeah.
But you know what? I was thinking that since he was in public, he'd walk away.
Think so?
In his house, I mean, I'm a switch it. I was to think if he was in house, he had a better chance of getting away with it. And once again, to the listeners, I don't condone it. I'm just going off the situation that occurred and the atmosphere he was in. I'm thinking closed doors, you know, but in public, I'm a ball player. I don't know if it was a local place that they go out to hang.
Had to be, yeah.
You know, that people might know his name. So my chances of getting caught or being, you know, put on some type of footage is higher. I'm thinking that's when he do leave. And, you know, and maybe somebody who's there seeing this guy getting attacked be like, hey, stop, get off him. He just told you to quit. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, like you said, now this the one thing that I'd be like, when you said the first time, that first time should have been enough.
Yeah.
I understand. We are high temperament and everything, but when you said, because when they look at the footage, well, the first time you jump, why didn't you lead in?
Yeah, exactly.
The feedback gonna be what? But you stayed or such and such. Knowing your strength, knowing how strong you are, you a running back. You could take that pounding. That's the excuse they could use on him. That's what I think they might hold against him.
And you know what, G, just to interject there for 1 second, there's a couple of things missing, right? It's context. A lot of this is context. And we don't have audio, so we can't hear what was going on. We know that something happened outside, that they came inside, she's pointing in his face and all this kind of stuff. So we don't know what happened outside. She had some friends with her. And so we don't know that first time she hit him if it was one of these kind of like, oh, you know, like just the environment, the reaction. You're now embarrassed, and you're like, oh man, I gotta save face. You know, not like I said, not condoning what he did, but just a kid in a situation like that with the background that, you know, he probably came from or whatever. We don't know what was said, right? Because he also said, and we don't really know if this is true. He said, you know, some racial bombs were dropped towards him. So
Ooh.
we know the sensitivity to certain words and things like that, which now escalated. She didn't hit you. There's been some racial bombs thrown. People looking at you like, oh man, it just was a toxic situation. Now hey, if I'm thinking about it, look, I'm gonna be in the NFL in a couple of years. I'm gonna walk away. That's fine. I'm gonna be counting my money, all the way to the bank in a couple of years. Y'all could be around here in Oklahoma eating French fries.
Yep.
But he just wasn't mature enough to make that decision.
Yeah. Agree with that. Agree with that 100%. And as I was actually looking at the topic, I guess she said that they actually got into an altercation outside of the restaurant. So my thing is, Joe Mixon, from what we've seen, she was sitting down and he came in there. So why would he even go back? Like, you know what? I'm about to go get my say so in. I'm about to go do this and that. So could they actually flip it as if someone being premeditated? Because supposedly, but this is all he said. She said, we don't actually know if that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
But I know she got a pretty good hit off on him, and he did it back, which isn't right. So, but if owners do take that risk on him, if owners do draft him, how do y'all expect for those ticket sales to be? I mean, let me know.
It depends. It basically depends on where he go. I mean, like Marcus said, second chances is big. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy slate going, because this made world news, USA news, and a lot of people know about it. His name ringing bells. So I figured that whoever do draft him, where he's going to hear some rumblings, and I think the coaching staff and the coaches and the owners will have that talk with him when they draft him, letting him know that it might be signs during practice that I don't know why we draft woman beaters, but they gonna hopefully he have a team that can rally around him, make things easy for him, so it's gonna be tough because hitting a woman, especially when they got the footage of how he hit her, he's going to have some fans that, say some things to him. He's going to have some tough skin. This is going to be the mental part of the game that a lot of people don't talk about. Going to practice, seeing these signs, seeing people that hate you, that's supposed to be cheering you because of your actions. So hopefully he's on a good team that people got his back. People support him. People tell him, like, man, just block it out. We here with you. You with us now.
Now let me interject right there. Hold on, right quick, G. I'm gonna let you finish your point. You said it depends on what team you go to. I don't think no team is going to support that. I don't think no fan base. Sorry, because everything the Lions said that basically he wasn't off their draft board, and I'm not trying to quote you wrong, but didn't you say it depends on what team you go to and what fan base? I guess he's evolved around, because I think nowadays in the NFL, I think for domestic violence, you looked at worse for hitting the opposite sex than you are for calling someone the N-word or a black person using a racist term towards Caucasian American. I think that's where we at in America right now. Like, that domestic violence is way worse than what was the guy from the Philadelphia Eagles that was out calling people the N-word in a bar, and he still had a contract.
Riley Cooper.
Yeah, Riley Cooper. He still was on the team, but you know what? Chip Kelly managed to cut. He managed to trade or let go of Deshaun Jackson and Macklin and McCoy. What are you doing?
That's another talk for another segment.
Yeah, all right. Stay on this and go
ahead. I know what you're doing though, but what I'm saying, and you are right. I'm just saying, certain teams, certain cities can be worse. I mean, he's gonna hear it, but I'm just saying, like, say a team in the South, New Orleans. I'm just gonna use them, New Orleans. It could be worse than him getting drafted to the Bears, him get drafted to the Jets. I'm just saying, different parts of the U.S. might be just as different. I'm not saying he's not going to hear it. I think he's going to hear it anywhere he go. But like, say if he go to San Francisco, he might hear it. But if he was in Texas for the Houston Texans, it could be worse. you know.
Is it worse because he's an African American that actually had a Caucasian woman, or is it, or do you think the same stipulation in Marcus? This question is going. This question I'm posing to you: if it was a white man that hit a white woman, do you think he would have the same stipulations? Because right now they are very big on domestic violence. They're not trying to have anything with it.
Sure. So look at it like this. There are a lot of domestic violence incidents that happen in the NFL. A lot of them you hear about. Some of them you don't get as much coverage. Like Josh Brown's whole thing. Look at how long that went on. Look at everything that happened. And yeah, he's a kicker. That's what people chalk it up as. But the fact is, nobody really cared. Like, how long did that stay in the news cycle? A couple weeks?
2 weeks.
But Ray Rice.
And the team said they're going to embrace him.
Exactly, right? And the thing with Ray Rice is, this man has made amends. This man has been out speaking about it. This man has done interviews, outreach. I mean, he's done everything possible, and this man can't get a job. You know, Greg Hardy, who's a scumbag, you know, he did his thing. You heard about it. Joe Mixon ain't even in the league. You hear more about Joe Mixon than some of these other cats.
Right,
you know,
man.
You know, so what do all these cats have in common? Now, I'm not saying it's a racist thing. A lot of these guys were dating white women. You know, now there's some black guys in the league that have committed domestic violence against their black wife or black girlfriend, and you haven't heard as much about it. I think the interracial component is a little bit scintillating for people. You know, it just stirs up. You know, and like you said, Greg, in certain parts of the country, that's going to be more of a subject than in other parts. So it is that factor, but I think news media is going to cover what's going to get them ratings, and something like that, they know people are gonna tune in and react to it.
And I think teams will shy away from him because of the press that they will receive by drafting him. And I'm telling you, it's going to be key where he's drafted at. You picked him in the second round. Say if he do fall to a second, or I'm going to say an early second. I'm going to say Cleveland Browns. Just to say, oh, man, he did this. And why would you pick him up? And it's like, the scrutiny to come with that. Is a franchise ready for that?
So,
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, so let me give you two places. And it's probably some others if I think about it. But it's two places I'll tell you where they could draft him and it'll go away. Eventually. It'll be some firestorm, but I'll tell you out of hand. The Dallas Cowboys could draft him. They probably won't because they got Zeke. But Jerry Jones is just known for doing that. He's going to be like, hey, we're out here to get the best players. We got a support system for them. That's fine. You know, and it'll go away, right? The New England Patriots could draft him. And they're going to say, Bill Belichick, you drafted Joe Mixon. And Bill Belichick will come out and say, well, you know, I mean, we did. It's going to go away.
You know what? That's scary. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I think you just gave him a draft pick.
He's a talent.
My goodness. Why
he has talent. He has talent. And
why did you say that around Tato?
Oh, yeah. I'm a big Patriot fan, Marcus. I'm a big Patriot. You know, he has talent. He has talent.
Oh, he can't play. That's why I said,
Joe Mixon is a home run hitter. Like he taking that handoff and he gonna hit that gap and he gone. He going straight home run on you.
And see,
you got butterflies in my stomach, man.
Yeah, this is my issue with the whole thing, right? So let's say you a franchise that maybe doesn't have the same cachet as like a Pittsburgh or New England or New York Giants. So let's say you're like, you know, the Tennessee Titans, right?
Or the Bengals.
Yeah, or Bengals, right? You pick up a cat like this, like you know, they got Vontez Perfect up there and all that, right? Oh, what's the problem? You got all these thugs, you got Pac-Man and all this other stuff. These cats go play for the Patriots or the Steelers or the Giants or the Cowboys, and nobody cares. So those other teams can't draft the risky guy. But these other teams, like Patriots, if think about it, Joe Mixon is a first-round talent. The Patriots could probably get that dude in the 5th round.
Oh, goodness.
I mean,
that's a nightmare on them.
He got Cincinnati Bengals written all over him. This is the type of player the Cincinnati Bengals actually got, and they actually play very well. But as we've seen on field, they'll lose their mind. Vontez Burfict, Pac-Man. We can go all the way back. We I'm not gonna say Takeo Spikes, but they've had a couple hot heads. The Cincinnati Bengals.
They have Corey Dillon. But then look at that. Corey Dillon went to the Patriots, and what happened?
Oh, Super Bowl, and he didn't take his shoulder pads off and throw it into the stand. I was actually watching that game.
But look, he went. You gotta look at it, y'all, too. Now, come on, let's be fair. He going to a winner. He going to a story franchises. You're gonna change your attitude at the door.
Yeah, well,
because they care about winning. If you was somebody that just say, "Oh, we gonna play 16 games,"
yeah,
we might play week 17, which is one playoff game. You got teams that saying Super Bowl or bust. Mm-hmm. That's a difference. I'm just saying, you got to check you at the door. They know they don't adjust to you. You get on their program.
You're right,
and that's the difference that Bill Belichick could get him at the 5th, and then he got 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns.
Yep,
oh my goodness. Man.
And see, and that's the thing. There's teams that have the structure to bring in this type of player. Like, I'll give you a somewhat related example. If you look at Michael Sam, comes out, out of the closet before the draft.
Oh, he was a beast.
Yeah, everybody runs away from him, right? The Rams take a chance on the dude in the 7th round. He didn't make the team, but once he got in that locker room, you ain't hear nothing. Like, it went away because it wasn't really a story anymore. Because, all right, yeah, he's gay, he's on the team now. All right, let's go cover something else. And that's what can happen if you go to a team that has structure or some of these issues. Like, let's say the Bengals did draft him. The only way, it'll be a story for several weeks. And every time the Bengals play on TV, if they play prime time, you have Chris Collinsworth or somebody be like, Joe Mixon, the kid's done everything he can to clean it up and make amends. And they'll bring it up because they just have to find stuff to talk about. But ultimately, once the season starts, people tend to develop a short-term memory and start focusing on other things. If Joe Mixon rushing for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns, he'll all of a sudden get fans. There'll still be some people that hate him, but he'll gain some fans as well.
Remember, Maurice Jones-Drew.
Different up. So, because Michael Vick, I think Michael Vick was really big. And we all know everybody loved Vick. Like I said, Marcus, I don't know if you've actually heard a podcast with me and Girls talking about. It was a time when Madden 04, and if you was playing, if you pick Michael Vick,
you win it.
He was so fast that all you had to do was get to that outside, and they act like nobody could catch him. Like I don't know what man did. They gave him such a speed boost, and people would just rush for 300 yards. But let me get back on Vic. Anyways, about Vic, he was really big before the dogfight incident, and then once that came out, he still had fans, but he wasn't really able to get that reputation back that he once had, that mystique. But like you said, Marcus, once you start playing good, a lot of people start to put that in the back of their memory. Like, well, he's doing this.
And to add to that point, right? The problem with Michael Vick was this: Michael Vick never developed into a quarterback. He always became the guy that was relied on his talent, running around, and that only lasted for so long. So when he came back, he was still that same guy. Like, think about it: if you had like a Peyton Manning that had a dogfighting situation, and then came back and started lighting it up, people naturally all of a sudden want to forgive him. Oh, he made a mistake. Oh, let's give him another chance. But if you're the type of guy that you're not really one of those elite players, or you haven't, put up those numbers, people tend to kind of hold it against you. He wasn't that good anyway. People forget. I
go a little deeper. I think race play a part. I think. Josh Brown wasn't a hell of a kicker. He wasn't better than Adam Vinatieri. He wasn't better than the guy from Dallas. I just think, not to sound like that, but I just think some get a better pass than others.
Yeah.
Michael Vick took the lead by storm, and I do agree he wasn't a pass. Vick was just a ball player, a straight up threat.
Yeah.
He was, and let's not forget it. He was the highest paid player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He had Nike. He had the highest contract. He was making more than Peyton. He was making more than Tom.
Gatorade.
He was making more than Brett Favre, Breeze, and all them guys. He was the guy. And then at that time when they found out about these dogs, come on, like Vic said, and I grew up in the projects, and I know y'all have seen dog fights and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's something that
don't make it right, though, G. In America,
no, it don't make it right. But okay, what's the difference between Aaron Rodgers and his brother going hunting?
Yeah.
Legalization. You know America. America's big on what's name, and I bet somehow, some way, you're gonna have to buy that rifle, which America is basically gonna tax you off of. With dogfighting, this is money that you probably winning $2,000 on that pit bull or whatever fight, and America ain't getting no piece of that. That money ain't getting taxed. We know that. We know how America
I
works.
bet you if Peyton Manning would have got called better, he wouldn't have had no jail time.
But you know what? For the listeners out
I'm
there
willing
listening,
to bet that.
the listeners are going to say, well, Peyton Manning wouldn't do that. Peyton Manning didn't have to get into this.
I'm looking at it like this.
His reputation.
Josh Brown, a franchise, backed him up. I'm going to go back to that.
Okay.
Ray Lewis. And look, Josh Brown lied. His wife came out. The footage was on Ray. He owned up to it.
Yep.
You know, like he said, this man had donated.
Ray
Lewis did
Okay,
everything.
Ray.
No. Ray Rice.
Ray Rice. Okay,
I mean,
all right. Okay, he said Ray. He said Ray. I'm thinking about, when you say Ray, I'm thinking of Ray Lewis. I'm like, well, hold on now.
No, I'm just saying, it's like, why the Baltimore Ravens ain't back up him?
Well, hold on. Wait, no. Ray Rice actually threw his owner under the bus. He actually was name. I think it was something about that with him and Ozzie knew it. I think the owner. They actually got into it. And wait, did Josh Brown any video? Did any video actually come out with that situation?
No, his wife, she rushed and told, like, he threatened to beat her some more if she even told.
Whoa.
She just couldn't take it no more.
Yeah, and I think it was in the divorce proceeding documents or something like that.
Yeah. And then they even hid the 911 calls to the house.
Yep.
What's
even worse.
What's up with all these athletes putting their... You know what? There's a lot of... domestic violence is a big problem in America, but for some reason, every time I see athletes, they're always getting in trouble for either robbery or domestic violence. Something like that. Yeah,
let me tell you. Okay, so two things. One, yes, athletes, it feels like it's more because that's what they report on, right? Okay. If you take the number of players in the league and the number of incidents, I'd really be interested to see what the percentage is of NFL players that have committed a domestic violence act, right? I'd love to see that percentage. I think it's probably pretty small. Number two, if you think about it, America has this is an American issue. This is a nationwide issue, not a sports issue. Mm-hmm. The reason why it seems like athletes have it more often, other than what I just said, is look, when the dude that worked at the Sizzler down the street beat up his girlfriend, nobody reports it. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody picking it outside saying, oh, he needs to lose his job serving you salad. Nobody cares about it. And so you don't hear about it. You don't see it. Like, if you go look on the sheriff's website, like, I'll peruse it sometime to see if there's anybody on there that I know. I mean, I know that's kind of mean, but, if you look at it, you see a lot of cats in there and women. You see both in there for domestic violence. Like, if you just run a search on the sheriff's website or the police website for arrests, it happens a lot, So I don't know if the percentages match up or if the percentage in the NFL is a little bit higher. But I always go back to what Damian Woody said. He used to play for the Jets and the Patriots. Damian Woody said, look, the NFL is the only place where you can legally assault somebody. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Hey, you're right about that. So, can we all come to agreement that he will get drafted? I think he's getting drafted. Whether it's the first or second day. He's getting drafted. Somebody's gonna, and this is my thing. Why did it take so long for the video to come out? This was his freshman year, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken, Joe Mixon did that his freshman year. This video came out so long after.
And I'm leery on that too. That's leery. Like, what are you guys trying to do? So you ain't know I was gonna be good. Now I'm good. I got a good stock going. No, that's just stuff that plays in the back of my head. Like you said,
interesting. Here's the interesting part of this. Y'all may laugh about this. You know who fought to get the video released?
Was it him?
Joe Mixon and his lawyer. They fought to get the video released because, in his mind, I don't know what he was really thinking. He thought, people will see that she hit me, and that's gonna make it. That's gonna make my case. I've been fighting. She was fighting not to get it released. That's the funny part. She didn't want to get it. Yeah, she
I
didn't
got
want it to get released because she was embarrassed. She didn't want people seeing that. He won the right to get the video released, and he released it.
Wow. Is there any settlement? So did they come up with a settlement, or is he gonna basically pay her once he get to the league? Probably something like
No,
that. Probably.
so just like the girl did with Jameis, this is what's going to happen. Like that whole part was the legal like part of the assault or whatever. Like he got the community service, he had to sit out in Oklahoma, all that business. She's going to wait until he gets drafted and he gets his contract, and then they're going to bring a civil suit. That's just what's going to happen. There'll probably be a settlement or whatever, because he's pretty much publicly admitted that. I mean, it's a video, right? So once he gets drafted, gets his money. Because if she sues him right now, Joe Mixon don't have any money. He's just a student. So then she's going to wait.
Mm-hmm. I seen something about that. She got a big lump sum too. I think it was like $900 something. I gotta find that. She got a lot of money for that.
Yeah, and that's like the Jameis situation.
$950,000. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, $950,000. Yeah, I mean there you go, right? It's I can't.
Almost a millionaire.
Yeah. I mean it's. I don't want to say these situations come down to money, but it's interesting to me that on the criminal charges, you get off. But then they come back and say, oh, well, I'll assume civilly for damages. And then they win or they make a settlement. So technically, in the civil proceedings, you've basically admitted guilt of some sort.
Yeah, that's like where I was about to get it. I'm like, I'm not going to give you no money if I didn't do it. I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what it is. His lawyer's like, look, man, you got the money. You got $1 million. You ain't nothing. Go ahead and pay this to go away. And I just... To me, if you're innocent and you believe in that, I just feel like you fight it. But I get the reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Once they see you hit her.
Yes, sir. And actually, speaking of Jameis Winston, we didn't even touch on this last week, but I'm pretty sure, Marcus, you heard of it, and Greg, you heard of it too. About the whole when Jameis Winston actually came here to St. Petersburg, where I actually reside, and he actually went to I want to say elementary school or middle school, one of them, and he actually told the males in the classroom to stand up, the boys, and he told the females to sit down. I guess he said he was trying to talk to a specific kid, but he didn't want to target them out. So he was like, "Y'all strong, right? Y'all strong." And the girl was like, "I'm strong too," and stuff like that. So you know what the media did? The media was like, they actually reverted back to what Marcus was saying about the whole rape, the whole sexual assault case with that. They was reverting it back to that, saying, well, Jameis Winston is basically saying that guys or boys mean more than girls. And I didn't like the way the media tried to spin it off.
Yeah, I saw they tried to flip that.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. So,
like you said, he was just giving it. It was a kid that wasn't really paying no attention, and he was just telling them that, like you said, what he said, girls are soft.
Yeah, they should be soft and quiet.
Yeah,
that was a
gentle.
That was
he
a
said
bad.
Gentle.
That was a bad.
He
choice
said gentle
of words.
and quiet.
That was a bad choice of words right there. The gentle and quiet.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It goes back to something we were kind of referencing earlier. How you grew up, where you grew up, how you talked, and one of the things I'll say, look, I mean, if you look at this culture or that mentality, like I don't know how religious both of you guys are or how much you went to church or whatever, but look, if you go into a church, what does the church say? Some churches say women can't be in the pulpit, women can't be preachers, right? And it's one of those things you don't really think about till you're an adult. And you're like, wait a minute, why can't a woman be a pastor or a preacher, right? So that some of these institutions kind of reinforce that mentality that women are supposed to kind of be gentle and this and that, and men are supposed to be the strong ones, kind of back to the Joe Mixon thing. So you see the themes in all these things, how they're kind of similar. And it's just, I think we're in a new age in this world. Women are, moving up the income scale. They're surpassing men in a lot of areas. They're doing a lot of things.
They are. But
I still think there's a old mentality, that gender role. Like, hey, you here to cook, clean in the kitchen, I'm going to go make the money. that
Oh
some
yeah,
people can't get out of.
This is 2017. You
women
know
is
what?
boss.
Yes, women are very independent nowadays. And if anything, I think people should want to independent. They don't want to cook, clean, forget it. Two incomes is always better than one.
Exactly.
We need to get out of that mindset in America. For real.
And then, hold on. And another thing, the economy is way different than back then. Like the stuff went up. Look at gas prices. I mean, look at these houses. Some of these houses cost. It's going. If you ain't making no contract, like some nice figures, you gonna need some help from your lady. Y'all go 50-50 on things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right about that. You're right about that. Do we have any more comments about the Joe Mixon situation? Anybody? Marcus G. Any other comments anybody want to make about
Get
that
drafted,
situation?
and whoever drafting, just stay by his side and support him, because the franchise that do get him, y'all gonna face some scrutiny too. So y'all gonna be in it together.
And I think just for I agree with what G just said, and I think from Joe Mixon's perspective, I mean, I think the young man has learned a lot about life through this experience, and there's going to be some people that never forgive him for it and never root for him for it, and that's fine. But I think he needs to just make sure he does everything he can to take care of his brand, his perception, and work with kids and young adults to show them, hey, don't make this kind of mistake, because the Adrian Peterson situation, other things like that, just how you were raised sometimes, we got to do things a different way.
You hit it on the head with that one. That makes a whole lot of sense. A whole lot. That actually makes a lot of sense. And before we actually end this is something that I've actually thought about. Do these NFL teams or NBA, NHL, any of these organizations, do they have any domestic violence, I guess, or do they actually render help to any of their players and stuff like that when they're actually going through things? Like didn't Jerry Jones have something set up supposedly for Greg? I said Greg Clark. what was the defensive end? Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy. Yeah. So I think there needs to be more of a hands-on approach, especially from the NFL. Like you shouldn't be the reactor. You should be the one enforcing the rules from top to bottom, and everybody following. Like, you know what? Since all this is going on, or because like Marcus was saying, the NFL is only maybe, let's say, I don't know, maybe what is it, 50-man roster, 32 team? That's what.
Yeah, 53-man roster. Yeah.
32 teams. Yeah, so 53-man roster, and there's 32 NFL teams. Or, 32 NFL teams. So, my bad. Like you were saying, they will come under way more scrutiny than the local pizza guy. So, knowing that you have these high-profile athletes, there should be some. I think something mandatory in there for these guys to actually go through. Like I know when I was in the military, we definitely had outreach programs. It was a safety stand down day. Everybody had to do it. If you didn't do it, then you couldn't go home for the day. But then again, these are grown adults. There should be mandatory domestic violence. What's the name? Mandatory finance. Something that I think that they should actually fit in their schedule somehow, some way. But then, I mean, some people might not agree with me because that'll be taking it away from football. But we have to understand they aren't just athletes. These are role models. And I'm not singling athletes out because somebody might be like, well, you're doing this for athletes. What about the people who aren't athletes who are actually going through these things? I think everybody should really seek help if they have any of these problems because it's not right.
Oh, yeah.
It's really not right. It's really not right.
I agree. And sometimes, I think it can't just be. These former athletes, Michael Vick, these other guys that are out of the league that have money, these guys are the ones that have been through it. They need to come back and mentor these guys because they've been there, And I know they do something at the rookie symposium and stuff like that, but that's just the league doing it once again. Oh, yeah, we told them not to do this. We had a rookie symposium. But you're not enforcing it, So I think they need some people that have some clout to come back and work with these guys and show them the right way.
Yeah, I really do think that too.
Most definitely. I definitely agree with that. Well, this was a great show. This is actually probably one of my favorite shows. We actually talked about a touchy subject, and it's domestic violence in sports. And you really won't hear that on many podcasts or many sports radio stations, whatever it is. But to our listeners out there, you actually heard 3 different perspectives on it, and we've all came to the same conclusion. It isn't right. We're not advocating domestic violence. Seek help if there is help, and if you actually perform good in an NFL, you know, people actually have a short term memory. So let's give Joe Mixon a second chance, because we feel that everybody deserves a second chance, no matter who you are and what you've actually been through. So I'm your host, Jay Davis, along with Greg Clark. We also have Marcus Session. No, Marcus. Yeah, right. And Marcus Session.
Yeah.
Marcus Session. Okay, got it right. They want to screw his name up. He was definitely a gift. He very talented, and he knows a lot. He knows a lot. So we actually look forward to having him on this show more and more whenever he can actually free up his schedule. He's a very busy guy. So with that being said, from me to you, signing out.